Welcome back to the wilds of southeastern Kentucky along the Kentucky Adventure Tour. Today finds us traveling east from Jellico along the Kentucky Adventure Tour, through Davisburg, past the Pine Mountain Lodge and State Park, across 16 Creek, and ending at the campground at Wilderness Road near Middlesboro. We left from our home Friday after work to enjoy the New Year's holiday weekend. As it's almost 400 miles from our home to Jellico, we stopped for the night at a hip camp near Laurel Lake. We didn't know quite what to expect headed east from Jellico, but the map showed us we didn't need to air down yet because those first 15 miles out of Jellico, they travel along scenic, paved highways. At around 15 miles, we turned off onto our first dirt road, Buffalo Road, which meant we did take the time to stop and air down. Unfortunately, this particular area had a lot of trash. We also saw a handful of dogs running loose in this area, so be aware if you have your own animals with you, you might want to keep them in the vehicle right here. The Buffalo Road and Laurel Fork section of the Cat is about 7 miles long. This dirt and gravel section is so well maintained and graded that you don't really need to air down for it. Once you pass the Laurel Fork area, you'll find yourself back on more scenic, paved roads for about another 10 miles. I have to admit that this morning's section of the Cat was a little bit disappointing for us. We'd gotten so used to the variety on the Cat from Slade down to South Fork that this section just felt a little mundane. Thankfully, at about 33 miles, we turned on to the Davisburg Road. It's kind of confusing because you take Davisburg Road to Davisburg, and then after Davisburg, the road turns into Davisburg Road as opposed to Bird Road. Regardless, this road is where you should definitely air down.
It's snowing.
This part of the trail travels through the over 15,000-acre Kentucky Ridge State Forest. That state forest was created back in 1930 to help manage the local timber. You might notice as we're traveling today, there's a dearth of camping in this area. It's kind of hard to find. This part of the track near Davisburg is one of the very few sections that has a few dispersed camping spots. Our dog Bruce sometimes seems to enjoy getting out with me while I'm filming, but when those vehicles go by, she's definitely not sticking around and waiting for me. At the end of the Davisburg Road section, you come to a decision point. Do you stay on the regular Cat route, or do you try the hard number 7 route? Even though we were hauling a trailer, we wanted to scout out the hard 7 route. The entrance to the hard 7 route is definitely not for the faint-hearted. We ran into a local gentleman, stopped at the bottom, filling water from a spring, who warned us that we probably shouldn't take our trailer up there, and that maybe our Jeeps wouldn't even make it. Reacher decided to drive up and scout it out so we could decide what to do. And I'm not exactly the patient type, so of course I had to hike up that trail behind him and take pictures of him coming back down. The little bit of the hard 7 route that we actually looked at, it's definitely not ideal for trailers. It may have made it up there, but we decided that we should leave this for another day when we could leave the trailer behind. What do you think, Kaden? We always want to know what the dogs think. Yes. It's raining again. This is just a brief glimpse of the Pine Mountain State Park, Kentucky's first state park, created back in 1924. And this is a hike you should take if you're in the area, called Chained Rock. It's definitely worth the short walk out. About 10 easy miles up the road from Pine Mountain State Park, you'll finally come across what Onyx calls 16 Creek. The trail is a little bit over 14 miles in length and is rated at a level 4 out of 10. Onyx calls it 16 Creek because, according to them, you cross the creek 16 times. Does it cross the creek 16 times? I have no idea. We didn't stop to count all those crossings. This particular trail carves its way through just a little piece of the over 54,000 acres that comprises the Cumberland Forest Wildlife Management Area. This area is 90% forested, with some open land left from reclaimed surface lines. Make sure you have good downloaded maps before you drive this particular trail, because in many sections, roads will go off in all different directions. This is the Little Clear Creek, also known as the Puncheon Camp Branch. On the map along this track, you'll also notice something called Puncheon Camp Hollow. So what was a Puncheon camp? Well, that was the term that was typically used for a timber camp. And this area was well known for timber and other mineral resources like coal. The nearby town of Middlesboro was actually created in 1886 by an English company known as the American Association to take advantage of those timber resources and minerals. Although today Middlesboro only has a little under 10,000 residents, it's still the largest city in southeastern Kentucky. It's also unique in that it is one of very few cities in the United States built within the impact crater of a meteorite. If you're driving through this trail later in the afternoon like we were, keep in mind this is a wildlife management area, and typically there is no legal camping. We saw almost no traffic on the trails that morning, but this trail, 16 Creek, it was different. At one point, we even passed a convoy of over 30 off-road vehicles that we stopped to admire as they went by. The obstacles we had encountered that afternoon had been your typical mud holes, but after we passed that convoy of vehicles, we encountered some bigger challenges. saw several places along this trail where it looked like people were trying to create their own off-road trails. Please avoid that so that this trail and others like it can stay open. We even saw one SUV that was stuck into mud up over its axles because it had gone off the trail. As long as you stay on the trail, you can probably drive this in a stock 4x4. The last half of this trail is characterized by steep, slick, muddy switchbacks that take you up and over a mountain where mining operations are evident. And then it carries you back down 1,000 feet, past some additional mining relics, before you come back to the paved road again. After leaving 16 Creek behind, we diverted through Middlesboro off the Cat, through this extensive tunnel, so that we could find camping in one of the 154 sites available at the Wilderness Road Campground in the Cumberland Gap National Historic Park. Because let's face it, who doesn't love a hot shower while overlanding when it's cold out?
Big tunnel.
Yes. Now, this is cool.
Did I mention it was a big tunnel? It was a really big tunnel. Thanks for joining us in our adventure along the Cat, from Jellico to near Middlesboro. And I hope you'll come back again next time, because next time we're going to go further on the Cat, as well as take on the challenge that is the Hensley Settlement Spur Trail. You won't find this trail in Onyx or Trails Off-Road. But this little gem of a trail, marked Hensley Extreme on the Kentucky Adventure Tour map, it is definitely worth the drive. Thanks for watching. Now go out and find your own adventure.